like pre-primary teachers are like have the sing-songy voice, but you know that they just like are so in charge and they're a little bit terrifying. I don't have that.
Oh, it's okay though. That it's not like lions attacking, the herd of antelope, picking off the weak. I don't think
No,
kids
no, no. They're
really like
sharks. They can
that.
smell the blood. They know. This is the After Dinner Mint, a podcast of stories I tell you at dinner. Think of the mint as the stories you tell after you've been kicked out of the restaurant, holding your mint, standing in the street, telling more honest stories with your friends than you did at the table. It's not a sermon. It's not advice. It's not self-help. We're processing what we're learning about faith and life, honestly, in community. I urge you to do that with our God and our communities.
Hi everyone, it's Maddie here. Welcome back to season 2 of the After Dinner Mint podcast. We're really excited to be back with you in your earbuds, whether you're on your daily commute or washing the dishes or just trying to drown out the noise. It's delightful to join you today. I'm here today with Beck and with Josie Rivett, our guest. If you guys could introduce yourselves, guests first. We'll get Josie to go first. If you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Josie. I am married to Steve and I have 4 children and they are ages 14 to 20. And I am a PhD student, so I'm doing a doctorate in education and I also write kids ministry resources generally in my day.
Awesome. Well, great to have you here today. Thanks for
Thanks for
joining
having
us.
me. Thank you.
Beck?
I'm Beck. I'm the founder of Stories I'd Tell You at Dinner. It's an online magazine that brings Christian women in WA together through honest stories. I'm married to Zach. I'm a mum to 3 little boys. I've trained as a clin psych and I've worked in, all the happy places, child protection, prisons, hospitals, all the fun things. And Maddie, tell us about you, bro.
Well, I'm Maddie. I trained as a speech pathologist working in hospitals with people who had swallowing and communication difficulties. Now I am tackling the final hurdle of my Masters of Divinity at Trinity Theological College. I'm juggling work and study as a kids and communities minister at Providence Church in Midland. Much of my time, though, is spent dedicated to my beautiful family, my husband Robbie, and 2 little kitties. So today I'm really excited about today's episode because it's our first Ask Me Anything episode. We're really looking forward to peppering Josie with all the questions we've received about kids ministry. So thanks everyone who sent in questions to our email or our Instagram account. So Josie's going to answer some of those for us today. Let's jump into it. So yeah, no pressure, Josie. We expect to have all of the answers.
I'll do my best.
Ask me anything.
Yeah.
Ask me anything.
Yeah.
It's like, got a golden ticket. So Josie, what do you look for in a good kids curriculum? So apart from your own, which you're very welcome to tell us all about, but yeah, what do you look for in a good kids curriculum and what does it actually need to have when you're choosing something for your ministry?
Yeah. So firstly, I'd probably look for something that repeats the Bible. It doesn't just look at it one time. It comes back to the Bible again and again because the Bible is not like the books that we normally read. Normally we read through one book and then we put it down and we move on to the next one. But the Bible's something that we need to keep coming back to again and again. So I think if it's embedded into the curriculum, then that's really great. I think also good coverage of the Bible, not just the stories or the bits about lions, which is what we were talking about today with my team.
And whales.
And whales. I think kids need to experience the breadth of the Bible. And I think as well, maybe an attempt at simplifying because the Bible's has quite complex language and quite complex concepts. So attempting to simplify some of that. And ideally, you would also have a program that prepares teachers as well as looking to the kids. That would be just 4 things.
Yeah, nice.
In a program.
Now, I have a question. Just kind of if you're this is a question that I have stolen from the people who sent it in. But
Yeah, sure.
the next one is like, what are the building blocks to kind of good, effective kids ministry? Like you might have a good curriculum, but like the actual ministry itself, like how does it not fall apart?
Yeah, so this is a good question. I thought For me personally, I think it's people. People are the building blocks for kids ministry. People who care about kids and who want to teach them about God and who are excited about what God's done for us, especially in Jesus. I don't think you need much in the way of resources. Sometimes we go to a church where we don't have a building, so everything needs to be carted around in a van. So I think they keep it all to a minimum. I also think it's helpful if the people that you have or who are helping out have a willingness to learn about the Bible and then a willingness to give their knowledge away. Some people like to hold on to their knowledge and they don't like sharing it. But when you're with kids, you really want to be quite generous with what you know.
That's really like encouraging to hear as well, that it's like more the enthusiasm, because I hear so
Mm.
many people kind of say that they're daunted by kids ministry because
Yeah.
they're afraid of getting things wrong or just not sure that they'd have the right equipment or have all the ideas. But it's great that it starts with, you know, an enthusiasm and a knowledge of the Bible that you want to share. So that's
Mm.
really encouraging, and I hope that
Mm.
encourages our listeners as well.
Well, I'm
Mm.
encouraged because I have not done kids ministry and I basically run my entire life through. I'm enthusiastic, but not very skilled.
Oh,
Have you?
enthusiasm, I feel is like the basic building block of kids ministry. Just a general enthusiasm. Yeah, yeah.
It is true. You can tell the difference, you know, with someone who's there and doesn't want to be, to
Yeah.
someone who's just loves chatting with the kids
Yep.
and sharing and engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's you could do kids ministry if you wanted to, Beck, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, you know, if you're looking for
You
a new day job.
I'm just here. I'm here to learn. Like, I ran a play group and I just like did not do the story and song at all. I was like, I'm terrified. The children are here and the adults are here, and the children know that I'm weak. You know what I mean? How like like pre-primary teachers are like have the sing-songy voice, but you know that they just like are so in charge and they're a little bit terrifying. I don't have that.
Oh, it's okay though. That it's not like lions attacking, the herd of antelope, picking off the weak. I don't think
No,
kids
no, no. They're
really
sharks.
like
They can
that.
smell the blood. They know.
Piranhas.
They smell weakness. No, 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 no.
They
It's
do.
not like
They
that.
smell weakness. They know. I'm
No,
just
no,
telling
no.
you. They know. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm just
Look.
here to take us on a tangent. So, Maddie, please help us. Let's get us back on track.
Yeah, look, we know, I guess we know that kids ministry is not just on a Sunday, and it's not just about teaching the children.
Mm.
So how do we involve and empower the whole family when we're shaping our kids ministry? Not just the child, but how do you involve the parents in discipling their children?
Mm-hmm. So this is a tricky question. It's got a tricky answer that might not be particularly satisfying, I think. I mean, obviously, you can get parent volunteers and then they're in the classroom, they're seeing what is being taught, and then hopefully they're going home and they're talking about what is happening in the class. I reckon singing kids' songs in church is really great. So then that brings the music home to the kids. And there are lots of great songs that talk about the Bible and do sort of scripture in song, that type of thing. So that's
Can
really
you sing
good.
some for us now? I'm kidding.
Do you want me
Totally
to?
kidding. But
I'm giving it a go.
Do you say anything?
Turn off right now.
I just
But it is difficult. I think family life is busy and mums and dads might not feel equipped or motivated and they might feel like they've got no time to teach their kids. You can always be letting them know what you're studying in the classes, but ultimately it's up to the parents to drive this. And so there's not much you can do, I feel, apart from encouraging them and offering them opportunities to open up the classroom. I know it's quite pessimistic, but you don't want it to be a guilt trip for parents that they have to, one more thing that they have to be doing on top of everything else. I'm happy to talk more about it, but it is it's something that has to be come from inside the parents, I think, as well. It's hard to come from outside and impose that.
Yeah. I
that
mean,
sort of drive or
ultimately,
motivation.
yeah, what I'm hearing is like actually the responsibility for the children does ultimately lie with the parents. And, you can support and equip, but you can't
Yes.
force something that's not there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And it's
that's kind of a
difficult
whole
position to
church
be in.
guide as well, isn't
Yes.
it? Where you want to be
Yes.
discipling the whole church. Kids ministry is a part of it, but you're hoping that the parents are getting fed too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Sorry to be, I don't know, depressing / realistic. Yeah.
Realistic. Like, you can't do everything in like 1 hour a week. Like, you're helping and guiding, but like, who's ultimately responsible? You're like, well, it's the parents. Which I think kind of, this next question is probably the flip side to that.
Mhm.
Like, what advice do you have for support, like, I suppose for kids ministry leaders? So what advice do you
Yeah.
have for supporting kids who don't want to be there Sunday morning? Like, they've spent all week in school. It's like school again. Like, how do you
Yeah.
engage their hearts?
So this question here, I feel there's sort of two aspects of it. I think that when we look at children, what we often get are the emotions we see on their faces or their words that they say that tell us how they are feeling. And those emotions are not necessarily good indicators for us of whether we should be doing our job or not. So I don't think that just because someone doesn't like it, it's a bit like vegetables. Your kids might not like vegetables, but you don't go, oh, that's okay. You don't need to eat that. Or brushing your teeth. You don't go, no, it's totally fine. Dental hygiene.
Oh,
That's,
baby, dental hygiene is optional. That's okay.
that's right.
You
So
don't
I
need
think
look at the road when you cross.
just walk straight on out. That's right. So in some ways, emotions shouldn't really drive us. Kids' emotions shouldn't drive our responsibility and our approach to our job. However, I do think, so I think we need to do our job regardless, but there are ways that we can make it enjoyable. And the first thing I would suggest is that we care about the kid. We don't need to be so
What?
concerned
No.
about the progress that we forget to talk to them. It's so important to just get down, especially with the ones who find it difficult, and find out, about their cricket or their whatever it is that matters in their world to them. That, I reckon, is what kids love. They love being cared about and they love talking about themselves. And the second thing would be, don't make it all like school. It doesn't have to be like school. Like, yes, it's a bit more formal than just, playing. But I know it's difficult, but I would really highly recommend food or fun, just games, especially with the older kids. I've noticed that kids who are older open up with food and with games. And thirdly, this is also difficult. I would certainly set some boundaries and I would certainly enforce them. You have to work out how you do that, but there are ways. Teachers have these tricks of just setting boundaries and then making sure that kids don't step over them. And sometimes the bad attitude can cross over into undesirable behaviors as well. So yeah, that would be at the end of that though.
Nice. Now,
I'm
while you were talking,
taking notes there. Just so you know. It's like notes for my kids' ministry, notes for just the breakfast Bible time that I do with my son.
Oh.
But
But the thing you really reminded me of as you were talking, Josie, was
Yep.
I saw this TED talk once. It was this teacher, and she had been a teacher for basically her entire working life. And what she said, her main point was like, kids don't learn from people they don't like.
Yeah.
And you think ultimately that, like, and that's true. And like, who do we like? We like people who like us. I mean,
Yes.
that's just consistent across people. Yeah.
I think as well with kids often, I generally do this with babies as well. Persistence is the key. You just keep putting your face right in there. No, you just keep getting in there,
Getting their
saying
face.
hi, smiling, asking them how they're going, and they can't resist it. Everyone loves to talk about themselves, especially children.
This is true. Like, this is how you can do an hour of therapy, and like that, no one's upset about that they haven't asked you a question. You're like,
No,
you can have a whole conversation for an hour. It's great.
That's right.
They do pay you, but Therapy.
True.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose like, yes, dollars are exchanged. However, no one is sad about it. Is my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, obviously, I feel like of what you've shared as well is like a massive encouragement just for even parents who are every day doing, trying to do either some Bible time or something with their kids. And, it kind of ties back to what we were talking about before about families as well, where kids can just come to go through phases of like, I don't want to be at church. I don't want to read the Bible. I don't
Definitely.
want to
Yeah.
pray. And your faithful kind of consistency and modeling it to them and doing it side by side with them, they kind of go through that. And yeah, again, it's good for them. It's their veggies.
Yeah.
The Bible is literally likened to food.
Yeah.
You cannot be spiritually
Yeah.
nourished without the Bible. It's the same for our kids.
And it's
Yeah.
probably like it's that consistency, isn't it? I guess ultimately you're like, well, you know what? Like we did Bible time today. Sometimes you read your Bible, you're like, this is the best. This is amazing. And sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. But like, okay, I'm glad that was over. And the same with your kids.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing it every day, it's fine if it's bad one day because you'll come out again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's not it's not you're doing it one time. It's like, you're building up a life, sort of a lifestyle of how we follow Jesus, how we follow God, Yeah. And it doesn't have to be long either. It can be short. If this is more for probably families, do a 2-minute little section, do a 3-minute little section. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes, doesn't have to be half an hour. It is, as you've just said, Beck, more about the consistency. And Maddie, every day we do something. It's like, water on a rock.
I think our culture talks a little bit about how we shouldn't do something unless we feel it. But
yeah.
the Bible actively teaches that we have routines and these actions will shape and guide our lives and shape our hearts and our devotion. So that's what we model to our kids by bringing them constantly on Sunday, by opening the Word with them.
Yeah.
And I think that was really encouraging as well, what you said about when mood and people aren't engaged, when the kids aren't engaging well, having that little bit of flexibility with the curriculum, rather than going, oh, no, I have to complete every single aspect of this lesson.
You
because
really
it's on the paper. That's
no, because you really don't.
Look, I have the rigidity mind. I'm a very rigid thinker. So this is where I struggle in that flexibility.
Yeah.
For me personally. So
Yeah.
it's freeing also to go, oh, I can step back from this.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
yes, I hope that's encouraging to our listeners as well.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
Someone else, we obviously are a podcast that people listen to all over Perth, but also in rural and regional areas as well. And so one of the questions we've had brought in was asking for some tips on running a kids ministry program in a small rural church with kids from kindy to year 6, all in together. How do I engage them all well? What can you share with us, Josie?
I'll step back a little bit from that question and I'll just say, do not do it by yourself. Make sure that you get a helper. You also need to be thinking about the future, like who's going to do it. Often in small country churches or smaller churches, it's just one person and it just gets too much, can get too much. Anyway, but apart from that, I think that you should work out how to use your time well. So work out what you can do together as a big group. So singing, you can do a simple Bible story with everybody, and you can pray for each other or have a big group prayer. Then you might want to separate, and with your helper, you might want to separate and take the older kids for a Bible study or a puzzle or a game or whatever, and then the younger kids for a craft, something like that. It is 100% okay to set a pattern and do that every week. It's also very reassuring for the kids. So you can just say, this is what we do. We do this together, whatever it is, and then we split up and we do a couple of things separately. That's why I'm saying get a helper, get someone to help you out.
I love that. My mother-in-law runs the kids ministry on her own in a very small church, but she has been a teacher for, I think, 40 years. And what I like, again, like very similar to this question, every week she's like, okay, we read a Bible story. Every kid gets a question and, but like it's to their age, and then they get a lolly and then they can like make Lego.
So great.
And Yeah, and play in the bush, and you're like,
Yeah,
I just love it. I'm like, it's simple, but it's like very sustainable.
yeah, that's what you want. You don't want to be burnt out and only be able to do it for 18 months or 6 months or a year. You want to be able to keep on going. And it lets the spirit work as well. It's not all putting it on you to do everything. When you open the word, God's Holy Spirit is working in people's hearts. So it allows him to do his work.
I love that.
That's great. Great
Um,
ideas there.
Mm,
Thanks, Josie.
that's all right.
yeah. So on the opposite of that, we had another question. So this question says, we have a large kids ministry program, but they're all in kind of age group silos. How can you have those cross age friendships and mentoring where the big kids are able to share their faith and take responsibility?
Yeah. So this issue has been strongly influenced by our education system, I think. Our educational system is really very distinctly in age groups, and there's not a lot of crossover that happens, although they do try at some schools. But we can come at it biblically. We get to be freed from that type of thing where we're commanded to love each other despite our differences. And so this applies to kids' church and kids' ministries. It means that we get to be patient with those who are weak, and we can learn this when we're young. So it's probably good to have an open conversation with the older kids about what they might be expected to do and also what younger children are like. They probably know if they've got younger siblings what smaller children are like. But if they don't have younger brothers and sisters, then it might be a bit difficult for them. So building in time to be together would be a good start. So again, that together time where you're singing or you're praying together or you're having a Bible reading or a simplified Bible story. Pairing up classes as well could be a good way forward. Maybe if you go for multi-age classes, though, you might just want to go boy, boy and girl, girl, just to minimize some of the variety in a different way, if you know what I mean. And that way, boys generally will like something a bit more active. So you can go out there. I know some girls also like, being active as well, but at least you can sort of manage that. I think it's probably good to consider what might be the effects of doing that. And so if you go from the outside end, so if you go for year 6 and kindy, then you'll end up with year 3s and 4s together, which are sort of the same age. So they're not really, yeah. So you
Hmm.
might just want to consider if you were going to pair up classes, how you would do that in a way that every kid gets to, experience a bit of a gap and caring for someone who's not one of them.
I'm sure
So
there's some just like activities that they can join into one, like a game where you got to buddy up with a younger one and do
yeah,
a little like activity race or whatever it is. But
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
there's different ways you can engage that. It's really
yeah.
helpful. I hope that brings lots of people ideas as well. Because you talked about coming together and like
Mhm.
singing or doing it starting with a song or doing an activity of some sort.
Mm,
So I was even just thinking about my son used to love singing and, I used to love listening to him join in a little song. And since he's gotten a little bit older, he's just not that keen anymore. A little bit like, too cool for school when they're singing. He doesn't really get into it. So, how like this question's kind of related to that in that how have you
mhm,
gone trying to foster a spirit of worship and praise in kids? The little
mhm,
kids love to sing and dance, the year 4s to 6s,
mhm.
are less keen on that kind of thing. How do you actually help them enjoy those activities?
So again, similar to some of the other answers, I think that one key would be persistence. I think that they won't do it if you do it once and you go, oh no, that didn't work, so we're not going to do that again. I think you need to keep on going and you need to set the expectation that everyone will be singing, and that is just
Mhm.
something that we do. That's something that we do at church. We sing, and we expect that you will do that too. I do think that live music is better than canned music, so a screen or just like music off the internet. Even if it's just you playing a ukulele poorly, actually think that that is better than a CD or Spotify or whatever. Kids or a guitar. So, and also there are songs that have been written specifically for children. There are songwriters who do some really great work, more than Colin. So Colin is great. But there are other songwriters who are like Colin, who write different types of music. And I think those types of songs that are written for kids rather than adult songs that are sung for kids, like sometimes they're great, but the kids' music is really it's good for children. Simple songs, simple tunes. I've got two examples for you. So when I was teaching, I started off teaching year twos and threes. They're very enthusiastic. I got out my guitar. So in education, you will do a music class because you may have to teach music. And my music teacher, she said, you just need to sing. I'm not a very good singer at all. So I was like, okay, I'll give that a red hot go. Anyway, I was very surprised. The kids did not comment. Uh, no comment, no judgment. It was so beautiful. And so anyway, I had my year 2, 3 class. They loved the singing. We sang all the time. I'm not a very good guitar player, but I hold the plectrum wrong. I don't even call it a plectrum. I call it a pick. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, I moved.
I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Me
No,
neither.
sorry.
I don't play guitar.
Moved
Oh,
to year
ukulele.
6, and I started playing my guitar, and they were all like, we don't do this singing thing. But I gave it. I said, yes, we do, guys. Anyway, and within, I reckon, 2 weeks, they were all singing loudly, enjoying the music, singing to God. Another example is at the start of last year, I was doing a couple of just sessions with the kids at our church. And we had a girl who's a very good musician, and she was playing a ukulele very well, much better than me. And she said to me, oh, there's that kid at the back and he's not singing. And I said to her, I challenge you to get him singing. Anyway, within 2 or 3 Sundays, she came racing up to me and she said, oh, guess what? That kid who wouldn't sing, he sang today. And I was like, yes. So I think the key is persistence. And he's like a cool kid, like he's seen it all. He's like not impressed, with
He's
anything
world
that you
weary
do.
at the age of year
Yeah, that's
6.
right. Exactly. So I do think persistence
World
is
weary.
hard to resist for children. Yeah, in this area. So I say keep going.
It
I
is
love
like
that a lot
so
of it comes down to
encouraging that.
persistence.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's what's great about, like a lot of churches have the kids in the service for the first few
Yeah.
songs. All the adults are singing.
Yes.
Like, and then you've got a couple of these little like kids that somehow know half of these songs are by heart. Like they must be sung at home as well.
Yeah.
And it's just really like there's always these few little kids and they're standing up so tall and just looking around and like, oh, I'm singing with the adults. Like it's just like I know the words too. It's so
good.
Anyway, so excited to hear.
Gosh, and just as like an observation, like so I became a Christian later in life. Like so my first experience of going to church, later in life. Like I was 18, so like I didn't do kids' church, but I remember going to church and people were singing, and you don't see people sing in any other area of life like that. And at first I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. And it took me a very long time to even sing along. I was like, this is embarrassing. This is very embarrassing. But now, I've been, like 18 years. Yeah, I've been in church for like 18 years. And I'm like, I love the singing. Sometimes I go, I don't even get to hear the sermon. And I'm there like singing and I'm having a great time. So
Yeah. I think we were
the person who sings loudly and badly, but we love them.
That's right.
I told you it's enthusiasm. I'm like, that's my like core skill.
That's what I do too. I don't have a very good voice, but I do bring volume and exuberance. I feel really sorry for people who stand in front of me. I'm like, so sorry, everyone.
Except for like, if you've ever been with Rach Stedman in church, she sings well and loudly. Like, and it's a good comment. You're like, oh,
well,
I know she's musically trained, like
because
so
you know that you're not at that level. You're like, thank you.
I know. You're
Look,
like, oh,
the Lord
I hear the notes I'm
receives
not hitting.
whatever praise.
That's right.
We'll receive it out of tune or in tune, and He loves it. I can guarantee. That's the Bible says. That.
Other people not.
True.
Right. So there's not really a good segue. So I'm just gonna like make it weird. Next question is not about worship music. However, what do you suggest for someone who's keen to be a kids ministry, like coordinator, pastor, in a paid role, as it doesn't seem like there's a set degree or path for it. Like, how would this person go around being trained and equipped for it?
So you're right. There isn't really, from what I've seen, I've done a bit of investigation into it, and there doesn't seem to be a path for kids ministry training, sort of like a formal learning situation. At the moment, because there's nothing, I would recommend, if you've got a degree, I would do 2 grad dips, one in education and one in theology. You don't necessarily
Ooh.
need all the Hebrew and the, like the extensive theological knowledge, but it is helpful to have some education experience. It teaches you a lot about children, how they learn, and dealing with different stakeholders as well. It just helps you to consider parents, admin, like that, and church leadership in this case. But you do want to have some knowledge of the Bible. So that's 2 years if you've got a degree. If you don't have a good degree, I'd suggest doing, and if you're coming out of school, I'd definitely go do a Bachelor of Education, and then like a grad dip in theology as well, or a master's, depending on how much time you've got. You can be studying for a long, long time to get good at this stuff. Yeah, so that would be my suggestion.
I like that. I like the recommendation around actually doing like the educational side of it, because if you think about it, it is a lovely parallel.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you do the grad dip in theology first as well, it means that you can come at education from a biblical point of view. It helps you recognize how you can work the secular sort of educational system or teaching into a biblical context or a church context. So it helps you come and critique the way education is taught and presented. Not all of it is great. So you do need a bit of discernment to work out how we can use that in a church context and to teach about the Bible. So that's probably the way I would do it, but it's a bit difficult if you don't have a bachelor to do it that way.
I have a question. In the teaching course, do they teach you the voice, like the teacher voice?
I think you learn that in the prac and also in your first year of teaching. You just go, oh, I was very surprised when I started teaching. I said, okay, everyone, and they all just stopped talking. I was like,
Oh,
very effective. Okay.
You're like, I have
magic.
arrived.
Power.
Wow.
So much
I'll
power.
only use my powers for good.
Yeah. And then it did decline throughout the year, because then sometimes you do lose them. But anyway, yeah. You do.
So it was the guitar. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, it's really interesting, I think, as well. Like, obviously, then you are having that education background. You can also be aware of what kind of things that kids are exposed to during the week and what, teaching techniques are helpful.
Yes.
I guess as well, you're also able to, having the theological point of view, you can discern the fact that, like, by God's common grace, our secular society has amazing tools and has, great, effective and wonderful gifts that we can use in the church as well. So,
yeah.
We don't need to reject the secular system in that sense, but being able to wisely,
That's right.
pair that together. Yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Beck, did you have any other questions on that? The training and equipping thing?
I thought my last question gave it away when I was like, tell me about the voice.
It could be other strategies.
This is
I
true.
think always go low. Go low. Excuse me. What do you think you're doing? Just keep the low voice. High pitch.
My heart rate kind of went up a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm taking this. I have 3 boys. I'm just like, it's all about the rhetorical question. What were you thinking?
See? Low voice.
What are you doing right now? What are you meant to be doing right now? And they're like,
You're like, I don't even know. That's their answer.
They don't know. This is it. They
know.
actually don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I got here.
Are there There are also any, short, there's a few conferences or conventions around that if people are
Yeah.
just interested. Can you recommend anything?
So the Perth Children's Ministry Conference is I think that happens in March. That's really great. They
It's
generally
the
have some
21st of March this year.
that.
And Josie,
Yes.
Josie, don't you run training? Isn't this like
Oh,
part of the thing that you do?
I do, but it's
You're part
more
of
of
your
a it's more of
contract.
a bespoke type thing. So people can just get in contact with me, and I'll come to your church, and I will run a training for you. So I've done it with a couple of churches. So if your
Good
church
now.
needs, yes, it's true.
Ooh,
So if your
right.
church needs some training, I can come out and help you out with a bit of training for your leaders, and yeah.
So you kind of like train leaders, and then do you also help them like implement the curriculum that you've written, or?
Yes, yeah. Whatever you have issues with, I can help you out. Well, I'm not Superwoman. I can't
You
help her with
sound like a
every
PhD
problem,
woman.
but I'll do my, I'll give it a red hot go.
Yeah,
Look,
excellent.
that is great to know. So,
Yeah.
note to
And we will
listeners,
get
if you
you.
need
Yeah,
extra help, contact Josie.
we will
And
get
yeah,
all the
and also
details and lovely stuff at the end of the episode.
Also,
Sorry,
it'd be
Matt.
great to put up a link as well for the Perth Children's Ministry Convention, because that's really helpful for people interested. And there's also a live stream option available for rural people this year, which is great to know.
Yeah, brilliant.
Look, it takes a lot of dedication to be keen to, write a whole curriculum, to be, willing to go out and train people. So Josie, where did your passion for kids ministry come from, and how do you sustain it?
Oh, well, I'm quite far from the coalface now of kids ministry, and I'm probably further than what you guys are. So if you're in teaching, I'm not really near that. So I don't actually get any of the delights. So yes, there are challenges, but there are also really great things about hanging out with the kids each week and seeing their excitement and their questions, seeing them grow. And I don't get that. So anyway, that actually is a really great thing that, keeps you going when you're working in kids ministry. But what sustains me mostly is the Bible. I really have enjoyed working through the Bible, and I find that really encouraging that God gives us all gifts and He invites us to use them. And so I have wondered how I could use what God's given me to help the church and to honor God as well. So that's been a driving factor for me. And so whenever I feel a bit lonely or "Ooh, it's not working," then I just remember that I'm here helping God's people to teach their children, teach the next generation about what He's done for us and how He's worked through history to bring about His great plans and to bring Jesus into fruition, like all of that. So that's what keeps me going. And also my family. I've got a very supportive family and a very supportive team too, who have helped me along the way. So my husband, he has just been so great and generous. He funds everything, which is so lovely. And then went to my friend who makes everything look beautiful. And I said to her maybe 6 years ago, "Do you want to help me with this? I can't really describe it. It's going to take a long time. I don't know how long, years. But did you want to help me do this thing that I don't know what it is?" And she said yes.
Clear.
Those are the best kind of friends.
So good. So I've got
Commitment.
yeah, that's right. And I have another, so my brother as well helps out. So I've had people from church who help out too. And I'm really thankful for God's kind provision in all of it. And that also helps me keep going. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic, Josie.
That. I suppose kind of, yeah, this is almost like a parallel because like, yeah, you've got that beautiful passion. Like what the other question we got is like, how do you help other people become passionate about kids ministry and retain leaders for the long term, kind of not just when their kids are small, but actually because that's the thing they love to do.
So I feel like kids ministry it's been sort of put into the category of gifting, but which is unfortunate because if you look at Deuteronomy and you think about Moses who was giving instructions to everyone, he says early on, he says, you need to tell your children about what God has done for us, how he brought us out of Egypt through the Red Sea. He brought us to Mount Sinai. He gave us his law. We're in this special relationship with him. So Moses reminds everybody, just as they're about to go into the promised land in Deuteronomy, and he's speaking to everybody, including the people who don't have kids yet or whatever. He's talking to everybody. So it's everybody's job to tell the next generation about what God has done in history and what God has done in the Bible and what God's done in our lives. We're the ones who've seen it. So I think we probably need to move it a little bit out of the category of gifting, and we need to be thinking about, okay, so if it's everyone's job, then how do we do it? And so it can be hard to motivate people, but I think it is a whole church task. And even if what you do is you just talk to the kids in your church. I know I loved growing up in my church. We didn't have a lot of kids our age, but I had lots of aunties and uncles, not real aunties and uncles, but like church aunties and uncles and grandmas and granddads. And we loved it. It was so great. They would always come and we'd have a chat and joke. And you just knew that you had this family that wasn't your extended family, it was another family that God provided for you. And so equipping the church to do this then maybe opens it up for everybody to be involved and to keep on going as well. So maybe we need to take it out of that sort of gifting category and just take it more as a responsibility that this is something that Christians do. We tell the next generation. We might do it formally, which is not a problem if you've got a great resource that equips you, or we can do it informally, but everyone should be doing it actually. Really.
I love that.
Mm.
I mean, I would just put myself in like that category who've just been like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I raise my kids and I like, and I'm like, I was going to say, and I love them, obviously. But, and I talk to them about Jesus and we read the Bible story, but like, I've never like at home, done a craft or like, whatever. But I will happy to have like one of my kids is like, loves to ask all kinds of questions. And sometimes I'm like, that's a really good question. Like, or he'll catch you and you're like, what's a like, oh, this morning he was asking me about prophets and, what, why people didn't like the prophets. And I was making breakfast and I was like, I really got to think about this. Like Ahab and Elijah and yeah. But I've never thought about it. The point of that like tangent is I've never thought about it like that. We're like, oh yeah. That's kind of everybody's job. Like you're just walking along the road. Like, yep, you can be talking about, the prophets or you can be making breakfast and it doesn't have to be like a perfectly aligned craft and beautiful thing and
Formal teaching time. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, which is amazing for the people who are, that is their gifting and they're good at it. But it's very encouraging to me because I'm like, I feel like I'm not naturally good at it.
Don't worry,
Like,
nor am I. I'm not a craft person either. I have to make up all these crafts for my thing. The hardest.
Respect.
So hard.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. And I would much rather sing a song or play a game. I'm just like, let's go and play, dog and bone, whatever.
Takes a lot of effort to set up a craft.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Blues,
I love people who love craft.
So do I. It's so good.
Yes. Those people are golden. You're like,
yeah.
Please, I've coordinated them. I'm like, please do whatever you think is good. Please do it. Whatever you feel led. Whatever you will do is better than what I would do.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I think I love what you said about the community mindedness that we as a community need to be thinking as a family, like in the sense that we are also being models to other people's kids. Yeah. Not just our own or not, right. If we're someone who doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
That we have a place to be meditating on the scripture, to be encouraging others on the scriptures as well. My side of the family, not Christian, and it really delights me when I have other people in our lives who are also going, like this is what we read in the Bible today, or
Yes.
remind us what the cross is. It's about Jesus. And, my son was just drawing a cross the other day and was talking about these things. And, it's a really wonderful way of my son also, and my daughter also, knowing that it's not just us being weird, like, talking about the
Yeah.
Bible, because the rest of my family doesn't. There are other people. It really encourages me when
We're
there's
not the
other
only
people.
ones.
Yeah, we're not weird. Well, we are weird, but it's not. This is a
We're
thing
weird
that this
together.
is worth hanging on to.
Yeah.
The other
And it's
people
not
at
just
church do
me
it too.
saying it. Yeah, that's right. It's other
Yes.
people. Yes, it's so great.
So it is amazing testimony to the kids and a great support for the families.
Yes.
So we always
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Yep.
Look,
Yep.
our final question is a little bit a bit of a longer question, and I'm just going to read it straight out as it is.
Mhm.
So, how do you keep faithfulness and enthusiasm for kids ministry when the same is hard at church? I've been horrified by how so many so-called Christian leaders have fallen in the last few years, where God is seemingly on the side of the empire, not the vulnerable. Children have not been protected, and people have failed to speak up at all levels. It's left me frankly embarrassed to even be a Christian and to start pulling apart what I've been taught. How can I continue, or should I?
Well, I think of course you should continue. This is not something that we should give up on. But the failures of others can derail our own faithfulness. But it shouldn't, because we're not holding up these other people to say how good they are. We're actually holding up God to say how good he is. And even though it's really disappointing when our brothers and sisters are failing or falling, it's God that we're serving, and he doesn't disappoint and he doesn't fail us. So we're called to be faithful and serve him, even when others are not, even when others are unfaithful, even when others are falling. We probably should also have, though, a level of humility, because these sins are never too far from all of us. So we've all got regrets and we've all got sins, and some are bigger than others, but we are all trusting in Jesus, trusting that his blood has covered us. So I think that we look over and we see people who do fail, we pray for them, and then we keep looking at God, at Jesus, who's our perfect sacrifice, who's paid for our sins and for theirs actually as well, if they repent. So I think it's about where we look, and that should help us and also with the children as well. And I agree with you that the people who are most affected are the least and the little, but God cares about those people, and he will bring about his justice in his time. So we can trust in that too. I hope that is a helpful answer for that question.
I love it.
It was a tricky
Yeah,
question. And
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah. Well
Good.
done.
But I think that's true. It's like actually, in the long run, like I think it's okay to look at some things and be like, you know what, like that thing is actually evil. Like that thing that people who prey on children, things like that, those things are actually evil. And I think there's something very comforting about knowing that like God sees everything. He knows he's going to deal with it perfectly. Like you either experience God's mercy or you experience like his just wrath. And I think, yeah, like, there will always be corruption in like our societies, but there's a measure of like things won't always work out, or be brought to justice. But I think there's a real comfort in knowing ultimately they will.
That's right. And holding the course, I think, like a boat that gets pushed around by the winds, but we've got our eyes set on Jesus, and that he's running before us. He's already been there and he's already done it, and that's who we're following. We're not swayed by these people who are not following Jesus. We're following Jesus himself, like we're in a boat.
Yeah.
I guess if you when you're finding that hard, the Bible calls us to pray about it, to ask him for wisdom, to ask him for perseverance, and ask him for faith. And I guess I love that fixing your eyes on Jesus, that you remind people to, because even just we're reminded that he is more powerful than anything that someone might experience as a victim. There is nothing that is out of his reach to redeem, in the sense that he will always be there for those people. And so I think that's just so comforting. And we trust in a God who is worth following.
And he's with us as well. So we were just talking today about Joseph, who gets put into prison, and he tells these guys dreams, and he says, please don't forget me, I'm stuck in prison. And the guy leaves prison and he forgets Joseph. For 2 whole years he's stuck in prison and doesn't get out. And this guy's forgotten. And it's not until Pharaoh has a dream and the servant goes, oh, hang on, hey, I got a guy, he's in prison, we better go get him and he'll help you out, But Joseph had to sit there for 2 years. He was in prison. He hadn't even done anything wrong. But God, it says right at the beginning that God was with Joseph. And so God is always with us, even when we're not being treated as we should, and God's not being treated as he should be treated. So we can trust in that too, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's a really great reminder, and a really great thing to finish on as well. As we, in this episode, as we're talking about kids ministry, and even as we reflect on all these things we've been thinking about and teaching our children in both Matthew 19, Mark 10, where, Jesus invites little children to come to it and invites us come to him as little children. So kids can all be such an encouragement to adults. Kids, for me, just such a delight. They delight the Lord. They can also delight us. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode, Josie. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you. You've talked a little bit about the training that you're running this year. Do you have anything else to add? And what's the best way for women to get in contact with you about your curriculum and your training?
I don't have anything that I run in particular. I just more do it as if churches want it or need it. You can just get in contact with me. My website is livingwords.net.au. Don't go to .com. That goes somewhere else. I don't know where. So .net.au.
The web.
Yeah, that's right. And or you can email hello@livingwords.net again .au.
Net like the fish, fish.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Think of that.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
The more biblical website.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's it from us, friends. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, you can sign up to our free weekly newsletter called Stories I Tell You at Dinner. So you get essays, poetry, podcast episodes, everything, photo essays straight to your inbox on Wednesdays from March through to November from Christian women in Western Australia. If you'd like that, the link is in the show notes. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.